Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm Cambria, if you haven't been here before. That's my name. If you have, thanks for coming back. And I brought friends. Alright, so we're gonna start with some intros. We all have food because we're super hungry, so we're gonna be eating during this. So we'll start over here. We're just gonna give names and what you like to do here at the Academy.
Hey, my name's Jay Imperial. I'm an operations research major. I play baseball here.
I'm Derek Dye. I'm a biology major. I'm also the class of 21, and I'm a theater kid.
She's eating.
Hey everyone, I'm Christina. I'm a B-Sci major and a Japanese minor.
We got smart, well-rounded people here to answer all of your questions. Alright, so the first question is from Jeff. Thank you, Jeff. And he asked if it is harder to get into the academy if you come from a smaller school. So, there's about 3 kids in my squad alone in my grade that come from a graduating class of like anywhere from 30 to 50 people. So it's definitely doable, but there's like other factors that it's more dependent on.
My graduating class had around 200 kids, and I think you just have to be ranked higher in your grade if you come from a smaller school, because they'll expect you to be in the top 10% and that kind of thing.
I was ranked 6th out of 33 for my graduating class, and I made it to the academy. A good thing you can do is volunteer a lot. Do something that will make you stick out from your fellow classmates. Community support is something that's really helpful, whether like volunteer at a dog shelter or like a homeless shelter, or another thing that is like very community based. Anything that can get your name separated from the pack is really good.
So this is just a random question that I also get asked a lot because I use a lot of abbreviations in my videos. Anytime I say PT, that stands for
Physical training.
physical training. So that's just
Exercise.
you know, some push-ups. So that's what that stands for. What role do you have as an officer after you graduate from the academy? So Jay will answer that.
This one depends on like what you're gonna go do as an Air Force officer. So upon completion of graduating from the academy, you'll become a 2nd lieutenant in the Air Force. And there's 2 types of jobs. There's rated and non-rated jobs. Rated jobs are more tailored towards the flying community with pilots, RPAs, navigators,
Combat system officer.
Yeah.
combat systems officers who sit in the back of F-15s, air battle managers, and yeah. And then what about spec ops?
Special operations, it can be branched underneath there.
Yeah.
So those rated career fields that have to do with flying, they're more tailored towards, as a junior officer, you're not really in charge of many people, but you're responsible for the plane that you're flying. And then as the non-rated career fields like intelligence, logistics,
I can't even
Everything
operate.
else.
All the other jobs in the Air Force are non-rated.
yeah, weather,
Anything. Yeah. Those ones I feel like are what's the
Security
one?
forces.
Yeah, like security forces and what's like the like the aircraft?
Maintenance.
Aircraft
I
maintenance.
feel like those are the ones where you'll be in charge of like the biggest group of people. But Derek's gonna more answer that because that kind of goes into the next question of, as an officer, are you in charge of other people or are you just ranked higher? So Derek's prior enlisted, so he's gonna take this one.
Yeah, so as an officer, it very greatly depends on your job. Some jobs are bigger, like security forces. There has to be a lot of airmen that are out patrolling and stuff like that. And there's other jobs that are smaller, like finance. You don't need 100 people in finance working, through paperwork. So something like that, it depends on your job. Something like maintenance and security force, like I said, those are the bigger ones where you're going to be, as soon as you graduate and get to your unit, you're immediately going to be leading people. You're going to be leading airmen from airman basics who just got out of basic training all the way up to chief master sergeants who have been there for 25 years. And then there's some of those other jobs like intel where you might be working with like 1 or 2 airmen where you are leading them, but at the same time you're doing close to the same job. So at that point you're more kind of like a mentor, and you're more you're doing the same work, but
You're the paper pusher.
you're more like the paper pusher, and you have a larger scope as opposed to just getting the job done, like getting your hands dirty, as making sure that the mission is complete, if that makes sense.
filmora? That's another question I get. I edit with filmora. It's also in the description box. So the next question is, this is coming from someone that's being recruited right now by the academy, and they would like to know how working outside of practice is and how training sessions work and such, if you're a recruited athlete or an intercollegiate athlete. So I guess we'll kind of take this question. So yeah, I would just say that most of the time, I don't even know, like our year we weren't required to go to training sessions if they were like during our practice time. But I know that this year they tried to get better with that and they pushed training sessions back so that once you came up from practice, you would still have to go to the training sessions, but you wouldn't have to do the PT part of it.
Yeah.
So,
It'd be more tailored
yeah.
towards like the knowledge and the non-physical stuff that is required of our 4 degrees.
Yeah. So that's, it kind of changes per year. It's just kind of depending on who's in charge that year, like the senior and junior class, how they want to run things. But I know personally for my squad this year, they made the athletes go to training sessions just so you were more involved in squad and weren't just always ditching them. So I don't know. I mean, it might kind of suck if you're coming up from practice and that's the last thing you want to do is, you know, come up here and be a part of a training session, but just know like it's going to be more knowledge based and not physically based, if that makes sense. The next question is, what are the majors that are offered here, and is it similar to other colleges or is it completely different?
I think there's over 30 majors offered at USAFA, and
Yeah.
there's, I think, 10 minors. You can minor in any of the languages that we offer: Chinese, Portuguese, Japanese, French, German, Spanish,
Arabic and
and
Russian.
Arabic. I think that's all. There's 8.
So a lot more majors than
So there's 8
Coast Guard
languages.
Academy.
There's 8 languages you can minor in. You can also get a minor in interreligious studies, and you can get a minor in nuclear policy. And then we also have different STEM majors you can do, any like biology, chemistry, physics,
Astronautical
engineering,
aeronautical.
aeronautical engineering,
Every-
chemical engineering.
There's also
every
non-tech.
engineering. Yeah, there's every engineering except chemical, unfortunately. But on the other side of the spectrum, there is an English major, there is a behavioral science major,
Political science.
foreign area studies.
There's military strategic studies, which is specific to Air Force.
Military stuff.
Yeah.
But everyone receives a Bachelor of Science. So no matter what, you're going to take aeronautical engineering, astronautical engineering, electrical engineering, Calc 2, Physics 200. You know, a lot of classes that are very difficult for some people who aren't, you know, math oriented. So keep that in mind when you're applying to the academy.
This is one of the only places you can get a Bachelor's of Science in English. So that's kind of fun. So,
You're well-rounded. Their goal is just to make everyone super well-rounded. So like, I came in here and I'm horrible at math, and they've made me go through Calc 1 and Calc 2 and physics, and you'll get through it. It'll be hard.
I also have a friend who is a humanities major, so you can take humanities here also.
They offer a very wide range of things because they want a nice, diverse Air Force. All right. So the next question is, how does your major affect your career as an officer? So we're gonna split this question up. These people will talk about how it doesn't really affect it. Oh wait, no, just kidding. We'll talk about how it doesn't affect it. They'll talk about what majors would affect it. So take it away.
So for me, I'm doing operations research, which is essentially quantitative problem solving. Use numbers and computers to make simulations to help you and commanders make decisions. So with that, in the Air Force, there's a job as an analyst, and they are tasked with helping commanders gather data and model that data so that commanders can help schedule shifts for when their airmen need to be at post. Flights can take off from, you know, a specified number of airways or whatever it may be. And the only way you can get that job is if you do operations research as a major. Outside of that, the other job you can get as an OR major is a pilot. So with any major, you can get a pilot slot.
Now you talk a little bit about medical school. There's a lot of people who come to the academy who are interested in medical school. You don't have to take a specific major in order to go to medical school, but it's very helpful if you major in biochem, chemistry, biology. Some people do it out of behavioral science. It's a lot easier just because in those majors you already take the prerequisites you need for medical school as a part of the major. But if you want to be a military and strategic studies major, then you can just take the other classes you need as like electives. It's easier to do it through the biology department or chemistry, and we have special advisors, the Health Professions Advisory Committee, who they will help you along your path if you want to go to medical school. But again, you don't have to. There's only certain jobs, like the Air Force has chemists. You have to have a chemistry degree in order to get a chemist spot. But there's only certain jobs like that. Civil engineering.
Meteorology. To be a meteorologist.
If you want to be a civil engineer, you have to take civil engineering as a major. But taking a major, say biology, you won't be funneled into any specific job, if that makes sense. You can do any job that you want to with any major that you have, as long as it doesn't have that specific stipulation. So just because I'm a biology major doesn't mean I'm going to be funneled that direction. I could be a security forces officer, I could be a pilot, I could be a personnel officer. It doesn't matter, as long as I'm not trying to get a specific job like a physicist. I have to have a degree in physics, if that makes sense.
And like the slots are really competitive for med school.
There's 18 slots designated for medical school.
But it changes like
It changes by year. The
like
most that they've
22.
had, I think, is 21. So pretty much as long as you qualify for medical school, they will get you a slot. So if those are your goals, aim high.
Yeah, you'll definitely have to be super dedicated to school if your goal at the end of your cadet career is to go to medical school. Like, you'll probably have to give up a few things to get there, but if that's what you want to do, it's definitely doable. Like, I don't know.
The biggest competition you have at USAFA is yourself.
Yeah.
So you have to keep yourself focused and keep yourself on the narrow path, but it is more than possible to get done. A girl in my squad, it just was selected to be a dentist, and she was the only person who was selected for dentist. So it's hard, but it's very doable.
The end of part 1. We're gonna head over to Christina's channel to do part 2 and answer some more questions, because this video would be way too obnoxiously long if we just did it in one sitting. So
See you soon.
see you soon.
Bye.
Click on the link down below. Bye.
Going delirious. Say I'm going broke, that's hilarious.